Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about Colleen Ballinger. Let me be very clear about a few things before we really get into it. There is a lot of information out there. I've been keeping my tabs, I've been bookmarking things, I've been watching things. Clearly, when I film, I need to rewatch things, I need to make notes of the minute and second things were said in videos, the screenshots on Twitter, said by who, why, are they reputable, all of that stuff. That being said, this is one part of the story, and I'm going to be focusing on Adam McIntyre's part of the story, mainly because those were the first videos I came across. I'm most familiar with the information in those videos. However, going forward, if I make other videos about it, I will include everyone else. For my own sake, in terms of explaining things clearly, I cannot include everyone in one video. I don't work that way. However, this is only one part of the story, and I'm not trying to minimize anyone else who has dealt with Colleen Ballinger. That being said, we are going to talk about Adam McIntyre's videos because there is a lot of information there, and I think Adam McIntyre and his unfortunate story with Colleen Ballinger show, in my opinion, what kind of person Colleen Ballinger is. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Colleen Ballinger, you can look her up. There's not really much for me to say in terms of introduction, except for the fact that she is one of those OG YouTubers, much like Shane Dawson, it turns out, in a lot of ways, where she had a character called Miranda Sings. I was never the target demographic, I don't believe, but this character, Miranda Sings, was pretty famous on YouTube back in the 2010s. That's really all there is to say. Colleen Ballinger is the real person, Miranda is the character, though Colleen herself has said that Miranda, the character, often says things that Colleen wishes she could say. So if you watch any of those old racist skits, she probably thought some of what she said there too. So first of all, we need to talk about Colleen Ballinger's demographic before I discuss what we're getting into, so you understand how serious what I'm talking about is. Now, Colleen Ballinger's demographic / Miranda Sings demographic, as far as I understand and from what I've seen, has always been not only minors, but what I would call young teenagers, if that. In my opinion, from what I've seen, it's always been 16 and younger, and when I say 16, I really think it's younger than that. It's like 10, 13 age range. So when we're talking about her content, keep in mind that this is meant for people who definitely cannot drive in America, and if they can drive, they're probably the outliers of the group because everyone else is vastly younger. 10 to 13, like I said, in my opinion. And if you watch the kind of quote-unquote comedy and humor, it won't appeal to most people older than those demographics because, well, first of all, it's not funny to anyone older than those demographics, but also, if you look at her mannerisms, it's clear it's not meant for adults or almost adults. Adam McIntyre made a series of videos about Colleen Ballinger and his own experiences with Colleen Ballinger, from fan to quote-unquote employee, and I'll explain what I mean by quote-unquote employee in a second. On April 28th, 2020, Adam McIntyre initially made a video discussing Colleen's fucked up behaviors. That video didn't go over well in the sense of, like with a lot of diehard fandoms, I guess, people aren't going to be happy to hear that their favorite is actually fucked up and will defend their favorite to no end. This gets a lot worse if there are other people within the community who are within your age range who also don't support you and turn against you. And that's basically what happened. And so the thing with Adam McIntyre, if you watch the videos I'll list below, and there are more than those, but I'm referring specifically to these ones in the description box, the thing is that the issue started with Colleen treating Adam as if he were a friend, an employee, and also a fan, which makes things complicated. And there's a reason that a lot of places, a lot of musicians, comedians, whatever, don't hire fans, because the dynamic is already difficult, let alone if your fan is a whole ass child who shouldn't be employed in the first place. And also, employed implies payment, which you didn't do for a very long time. And even when you did, I wouldn't really call it payment if you're vastly underpaying someone to the point where it was already illegal, but it should be, I guess, doubly illegal at that point. She also treated him like a friend, which is part of the issue as well, because when you have a woman who's well in her 30s and then you have a kid and you're telling this kid your business, like they're your friend, but you also expect them to act like an employee, but you also know that they were and are a fan, immediately, and I know people are tired of hearing this conversation over and over, but the power dynamic. And this is a very real thing, especially when we see it between adults and minors, because already between an adult and a minor, the power dynamic is there. Let alone if one is a fan and the other one is a quote unquote famous person, which is a gift I'll give Colleen Ballinger to call her a famous person, because that ship has sailed. I think now we are well into notoriety.
It's a screenshot that goes as following. So in the group chat, at this time, this was 2016, I think I was 14-ish, I write, "My ass looks good today, y'all." This is how, we were a bunch of kids in this group, so we talked stupidly. This is how we talked. And everyone in the chat ignores me, because they're like, oh, there Adam goes again. They would have their moments as well, right? Colleen comes into the chat, after not responding to anything else, and goes, "Pics, Adam, for me to send pics of my ass." And then I literally say, "Go away, bitch." So that was one that was sent to me by one of the girls in the group. Something I'm starting to notice, we would all be talking in the chat, but she would always find a way to make a sexual innuendo towards only you, so about me. Like, why is she always stating you by name and then saying it? Because again, there's a lot of screenshots that are going to come out in the next few weeks of Colleen initiating conversations to do with sex or sexual jokes to me, and I would engage in them back. Because again, I thought that she was the coolest 30-year-old in the entire world, that she would talk to me about sex, and that I learned a lot to do about sex, you know, through her videos and through the Miranda content. And then whenever she would speak to me about it privately, it just kind of made sense. Now, looking at this as a 20-year-old, I realized that at 14 years old, I was talking to a 30-year-old about her sex life, and she was overexposing me to a lot to do about sex. And whether that was in the case of directly talking about it, talking about things that she had done with Josh, talking about anything she had done on dates, to talking about Trisha's nudes with me. So whenever I show you these next screenshots, I want you to keep in mind that I'm a 14-year-old who feels very comfortable talking to a 30-year-old about sex or anything, because she made me feel that I could talk to her about sex, because she would come to me and talk about that stuff. And here you're seeing a member of the group chat confirming that it was only really me that she would have these sexual innuendos with. I was 14 years old and she was in her 30s. This is not just me saying it anymore, it's the group chat are confirming this. So in this group chat of my friends who were 14 to 16, they were older than me, but they were, you know, similar age, I write, "Y'all, there's a dildo shop beside my hotel. Who wants to get their orders in?" Making a joke to my friends who are also the same age as me. Now, to validate what Liv said about Colleen only coming in to be able to make, you know, sexual innuendos to me, or whether she was starting them or engaging with them, here's another example of that. Colleen goes, "Adam, LOL. I go, "Is that a yes?" She goes, "No, that's not my thing." And I, in quotations, write, "I have," because you can see in this moment, I'm quoting conversations she's had with me privately about using all of these different things. So me saying "I have" in quotation marks is directly quoting conversations that me and her have had about these things privately. Not those. So there she basically is confirming that we did have conversations. It would mainly be about, you know, handcuffs that she would have as Miranda, and she would make jokes that she was going to use them with Josh, or role play that she was going to do. I knew a lot about this woman's sex life by the time I was 15, so. She goes, "Everyone thinks I love dildos because of that video. They aren't the only sex toys in the world, Henny." And I go, "Yeah, we know you use handcuffs because you told they're Mirandas." So there's me confirming as well in the group chat, not knowing that these would ever come out, because I never saw an issue with these in the moment, being 14. I mean, she was just the cool friend that would, you know, had no boundaries with me, I guess. Here I'm literally quoting that she would talk about using handcuffs, you know, sexually, but that she also used for Miranda. So literally all my messages here are like proving the point that I'm trying to make right now. And then she goes, "I'm gonna head to bed, have fun on vacay, Adam, XOXOXO," because she was very comfortable having these conversations with me. And I'm so glad that the other members of Weenies are now coming out and being like, yeah, she just kind of always spoke sexually to Adam, or had no problem, you know, with these conversations with Adam. And, you know, for me then being like, oh, we were also having them in private, and it was very uncomfortable and very weird. For them to confirm it makes me feel less crazy talking about this, so I appreciate especially Liv speaking up, and Becky and Ramsey and everyone in the group that have confirmed that she did have these conversations with me whenever I was around the age of 14 and she was in her 30s.
So in this weird behavior with Adam McIntyre, we see on full display Colleen's behavior towards a minor. So here it was Adam, right? But generally speaking, to me, if you're acting some type of way with one minor, I'm not saying you act that way with all minors, but to me it says that you don't really have a very clear sense sense of boundaries, because the idea would be that you tell no 13-year-old about your sex life when you're 30. So if you do tell one 13-year-old about your sex life, what is stopping me from thinking you won't tell any other? Because clearly that boundary is not there for you. You don't see the issue. And that is profoundly alarming, because I wonder how many people are out there who have had God knows what kind of interaction. There's also another weird moment where she discusses her sex life in detail with minors. Again, let's remember, her main core demographic is minors. The people in her group chats are minors. So there is really no one that she should be telling that are her fans regardless, even if they're adults. I feel like that's a little bit weird. Specifically here, because her main demographic is minors, because the people in group chats are minors, there's no one she could be talking to here where it's appropriate to talk about your kinks. There's just no place for that. And on that same note of talking to a group chat of children, like I mentioned before, who was called the Weenies, that was the name of the group chat. So I know the names of group chats are references to inside jokes, whatever. When you have a group chat with minors, which arguably you shouldn't have in the first place, no matter what, because why do you need to interact with them? Why can you not do that openly in the comments? Why do you need a private place to interact with minors? That's what I want to know, because inevitably it's going to become messy. Like, even if she were a saint and completely innocent, all it takes is for two of the minors there who might be the same age to start talking about sexual shit, and anything of that nature you should not be involved in, you should not be close to. I just don't know how you think this through. I guess you don't, and come out thinking, oh yeah, it's a good idea for me to be around a bunch of minors. Especially with the content that she made, which was strongly based on innuendos, which again, your audience is minors.
I was literally in DMs talking to children about sex. Here's one. Are you a virgin?
Okay, so I never thought these messages would get out, but that was to me. These messages were to me. In our group chat with Colleen, we were in a group chat called the Weenies. And I wrote in the group chat and said, I'm doing a YouTube Q&A and I need questions. And Colleen was like, so this was like 2017, 2016. So I would have been like 15 or something like that, 15-ish. And I was like, innocently, fuck me. But even then, I mean, you know, stan mentality, but even just at a baseline of how it went. So I wrote in the group chat and was like, and by the way, look at this, Adam, you need questions for your Q&A? Are you a virgin? And then she goes on.
This is Colleen in a group chat with children. They're called the Weenies.
She goes, Adam, do you need questions for your Q&A? When my friends would be like, you know, what's your opinion on Mariah's new song or something? So she goes, are you a virgin?
If you're in the Colleen Ballinger fandom, you know about this group chat. She's also asking.
And she asked me what my favorite sex position is. Now, if that doesn't validate any of the stories that she would be talking openly about her sex with her ex-husband to me, then I don't know what will. Or speaking about, you know, sex with her, you know, boyfriend at the time whenever she was on her Hawaii trip, I don't know what will. That literally in a group chat of a lot of people, she was asking me questions about my sex life at 15. And by the way, these messages were not even leaked by me. Someone in that group chat started leaking all of this stuff because someone else in this chat knew that this was wrong.
And this whole sexual streak that goes on isn't really a one-off, first of all because it's repeated behavior, but aside from that, the titles of her videos were overtly sexual at some points and then they got changed, either for scandal reasons like now, or even just for monetization's sake due to YouTube's consistently changing rules. So initially, a lot of these titles were just openly out there being innuendos or fucking weird.
Some of the titles used to be Receiving Dirty Panties, I Hate Sexual Activity, Sexual Experience with a Fan, My Favorite Sex Noise, Corey's Package, in brackets, X-rated, I Pee on Myself, Sleeping with My Boyfriend, or I Show You My Panties. We also have a clip here from one of her videos with her sister Rachel, where she is getting Rachel to basically like deep throat a microphone while her nephew Parker, who is a literal baby, is sitting watching all of it happen, and it's a joke that they're doing this in front of him. Normal. Amidst all of this backlash, Colleen Ballinger has been changing titles that were in vlogs of her niece Bailey, where the title is Girl on Girl Action or Sexy Pole Dancer, and the thumbnails are of her young niece. And she has since changed them to just Christmas vlog and Xmas vlog. We have this one with her nephew, where she says healthy balls with Chef Jacob, or these titles called How to Write a Child or flat out I'm a Okay.
So, like I said, she ended up treating Adam like an employee as well, which again, we return to the fact that Adam was a child. So, treating him like an employee in the first place, I don't know how you consistently, every single day, ask a young teenager what to post on Twitter and why, and have them explain demographics, audiences, reception of your tweets, and not for a second stop and think this person is a third of my age, also cannot be legally employed, also they're a fan. So all of it, no matter what perspective you look at it in, there's something fucked up there. Whether we're looking at the legality of employment or we're looking at just the fan talent dynamic, I don't know how people around you don't tell you anything, and if you have to hide it from people around you, maybe ask yourself why that is. So in terms of Adam being an employee, quote unquote, so there were tweets being made, and every time Adam tweeted, he would have to run it past Colleen. Colleen would approve it, and there you go. So one of the major moments specifically regarding this quote unquote employment is in terms of a tweet made about Meghan Trainor. Now, Adam had ran this tweet by Colleen Ballinger. So Colleen was hyping up this tweet about like big news, big announcement, and then the big announcement was a joke being like, I'm coming out as a Meghan Trainor fan.
And also today, if you want to tweet about an announcement coming at and say a time, and then at that time, post the Meghan Trainor coming out tweets, people will find it really funny at the trolling. They didn't. I'm posting the next episode of Quarantine tomorrow. Should I start teasing that? And should I post the Animal Crossing on both accounts now? I would post them now. Remember the pic of you and Flynn, post them ones. And about the quarantine promo, I would do that after doing the Meghan Trainor series of tweets. People will be tagging their friends in that and sharing it in group chats because it's really weird. And then boom, you have promo for your video. It's all about getting the overall numbers up for your final promo tweet. This is why I'm slow to respond sometimes. Then I say that I have a folder on my MacBook called Miranda Tweets, and she goes, it's my dream. I post it on my story to promote the new Insta post, and I go, that's what I'm here for. The amount of people you're confusing with your tweets is bringing back retro Miranda and how the social media was always. This won't play, whatever it is. And I go, are you planning on posting your thumbnail or snippet? And she goes, I don't know, depends on what I have time to do. And I go, okay, well, if you do the announcement at a blank time, then the Meghan Trainor tweets, then the screenshots, and then the thumbnail, and then the video. And she goes, I don't understand what you're saying about Meghan. And I go, okay, so she asked me to reiterate the Meghan Trainor tweet. So I reiterate this tweet. If you do it and say that you have an announcement, and then, which is what happened, then tweet that the Meghan Trainor tweets that I sent you, of you coming out as a Meghan Trainor fan with those edited pictures. And she goes, when should I do that? She threw me under the bus behind the scenes saying that I was trying to take her down because of this tweet. And she has now gotten me to reiterate this tweet 3 times and has now said, when should I post it? So when everything goes wrong and I was made to feel crazy and made to feel like I set her up, and she was in group chats with Corey saying that that was my end goal and that was my end plan and stuff, and then no one's believing me. I didn't, you know. So I send the edit. With whatever caption you want, but imply a huge announcement coming in 15 minutes. And then, 15 minutes after, the Meghan Trainor tweets. Everyone will be starting to think you're announcing something really big, and then you hit them with that. She goes, should I do that today or tomorrow? Again, confirming that she's on board with the tweet.
I don't know how humor is online these days within that demographic, but to me, it seems pretty mild. It doesn't seem like a big deal of a joke to me. Regardless, Colleen had approved this joke. She said it was okay. Let's remember, a woman in her 30s approving a joke by a young teenager, so who does the responsibility fall on? Also, because it's from her account, so regardless, even if he had been 25, it doesn't change anything. Once she tweeted this, people were getting offended because they were saying that she was queer baiting. Colleen then basically dumped again on Adam, as she did over and over again. From what you can see in Adam's videos, that it was this constant spilling of emotion. Honestly, it just boils my blood to think of an adult going to a whole ass child and telling them their problems over and over again, just expecting them to fix it. Like, what do you think a 13-year-old is gonna do for you? And if you need a 13-year-old to fix your shit, maybe you have bigger problems. She basically blamed Adam for all of this and made Adam feel bad when he ran it by her and she decided it was okay. This was not a miscommunication. This was not Adam trying to pull anything. It was literally, she said yes, then she realized some of her audience wasn't happy about it and she needed someone else to blame because that's easier, right? Now, another thing that Colleen did, which I guess would be part of the whole employment aspect of this, and again, employment is always in quotation marks here, is that she had Adam looking into what her ex-partner Josh was up to. Now, Adam said in his video that he was sorry for the way he treated Josh and the way he perceived Josh at the time, though I'm not the one who has to accept an apology, but I don't really expect a 13-year-old to have a firm grasp on the ins and outs of relationship statuses and love life statuses of a 30-year-old. So even if he were mean about Josh or misperceived Josh, there's a reason for that, and it's Colleen, because it's not like Adam woke up one day and was like, fuck this guy. Colleen had Adam look into her ex-partner rather consistently and would press him in the DMs about tea on Josh.
Here we have another one where I go, what's the tea? And she goes, what tea do you want? And I go, some good tea. And she goes, LOL, but what? And I go, did you see Josh following Eric accounts? And now the reason I texted her this was because she wrote about it in the group chat. And she goes, yes, so weird. He must be my biggest fan because I'm all he talks about. It's really weird. He has a girlfriend now, so I don't know why he doesn't just focus on her and stop lying about me and obsessing over me. It's really odd. I don't have much tea though. Do you? What do you know, bitch? Then I say, about something that was happening, and she goes, tell me everything about this tea, and it had to do with Josh. And I go, he was on that site when y'all were still legally married, so I guess it was something to do with him being on a dating site or something. And she goes, that wasn't the only site he was on. What does that mean? What does that mean? And why are you telling a fucking child this? Why are you telling a 15-year-old this? How does this affect my life in any way? He was on all the dating apps the day after I broke up with him. Tell me more right now. He always goes off and lies about how I cheated when I literally never did. Well, he was dating tons of girls the entire time, so hypocrite. Also, T. Also, tell me more about the bakery stuff right now or I'm suing you. So the bakery was the Gossip Garden, and then they had a bakery version of it. It was basically gossip sites where Colleen would make me go and search for things. There you're literally seeing an example of where she's telling me to tell her everything that they're saying. This is what she used me for. She would love bomb me, make me feel like I had a friend, pretend to care about me, and I would just have to do all of her dirty work for her. Which is why a lot of people do not like me on the internet from this time period, because they associate me with my behavior at that time. Even though I was 14, 15, 16. She was making me do this. Alright, so then I open up to her about the bakery, and I go, oh, but I'm saying too much now. And she goes, no, you're not. You've said nothing. So, try again. I just gave you boiling hot tea, and you gave me nothing. Come on, queen. So, what I told her wasn't good enough, so she tells me, what the hell, I just gave you something really good. Give me more. And then I say about Josh apparently being on gossip sites, blah, 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 blah. But there's her being like, no, you're not. You've literally told me nothing. Sorry, full stop, try again. Wait, stuff we would do in front of him when we hang out together, the three of us never hung out about Eric, Josh, and Colleen. Haha, it's just shocking how often he makes shit up and people believe him. And like, it's 2018. Why is this still a thing? His per girlfriend has to deal with him always talking about me. It's so weird. He can't fathom that maybe he treated me terribly and that's why I left. He's so cocky that he thinks the only way a woman would leave him is if they cheated. And I go, he's a weird one.
You know, like, you almost have to sit down for a second and think about the fact of, why is this 30-plus-year-old woman asking this teenager about her ex-partner and what he's up to? Like, do you not feel not just inappropriate, but absolutely ridiculous going to someone who's like 20 years younger than you and still a child to talk about a relationship that no longer is in order to get dirt on them? And then what? And it's also like, if you're gonna be messy like that, if you're gonna be shady like that, you don't have a friend your age, you don't have your best friend who could go creep on the profile of your ex, you don't have that. It has to be this kid who you have power and control over. And I think that's one of the common threads here too, is that, first of all, she hasn't addressed anything as of today, Sunday, June 18th at 5:21 Pacific time. She has not said one goddamn thing about it. Make of that what you will. Watch her respond right as I upload this. Why are you having a kid check on your ex? But on top of that, why are you pressing a kid? Because in the conversation, Colleen is like, what's the tea? What's going on? And she almost makes it into a transactional thing of Colleen telling Adam and then pressing Adam for him to tell her something as if it's like, we gotta trade. And realistically, obviously you wouldn't know that at such a young age, but as adults, we know that that's transactional and that doesn't scream friendship. Like, I told you something, now you have to tell me something. So again, we have a demonstration of Colleen not only not knowing boundaries, but really taking advantage of a kid and a kid's admiration for her and a kid being such a big fan to get them to snoop, work, and do all of these things that are so out of line and partially illegal that you just have to wonder, was there no red flag in your head at any given point, or are we wearing the glasses that turn red flags green? As of right now, Colleen hasn't addressed anything. When the whole thing with Adam blew up, once he posted his first video, now years ago, Colleen actually tried to claim moral high ground because Colleen had a brief exchange via Adam's DMs with Adam's mom, who was saying that her behavior towards her son was inappropriate and that she, as a then new mother, would understand soon enough that a mom would know that that's inappropriate and enraging and completely out of line. Keeping in mind that Adam's mom talked to briefly, just sent one message as far as I understood, to Colleen, telling Colleen that what she was doing was inappropriate, then Colleen decided that she was kind of going to refer to Adam, but not really, in the sense of, in the video I was right about Colleen Ballinger, I'll show you that in a second, 36 minutes in, we see that basically Colleen tried to claim a moral high ground by not referring to Adam directly because he was a minor and his mom didn't want him to be dragged any further into all of this mess. She painted it as she was following Adam's mom's wishes, right? So like a really noble, good, morally sound thing to do, which, as we well know now, is rather out of character because realistically what she did do is that kind of thing that a lot of social media influencers do, is to not say the thing but make you understand the thing regardless. So it's like, when you tell me that I did something wrong, I can be like, well, I didn't say that. But the reality is, if I imply something heavily enough, or if I point in the right direction enough, you're gonna understand what I'm saying without me having to say it. Does that make sense? So just for context, so this clip isn't too confusing. So in this video by Adam, he's watching a video by the creator Cody Rants, who used to be in the Colleen Ballinger fandom, and there's more to be said about Cody Rants based on information that has come out, but that's a different story. In this part, Cody Rants is going over their interactions with Colleen, and Colleen is saying how she doesn't want to send hate Adam's way. But then she makes a video called Addressing Everything, where, like I said, she doesn't really say it's Adam, but she makes it understood enough so that even if she doesn't say it, people will know, and therefore it's all hypocritical, what we were saying about respecting Adam's mother's wishes of leaving Adam out of everything.
So, yeah, she says she doesn't want her DMs included, but yet had no problem showing all of mine.
So what's the sense? So what was this then if you were just gonna do it? You can see what I'm saying right here. She's like,
I don't know, I'm so nervous. I just want to do the right thing. I hate drama and confrontation. I don't want to bring him hate. I just want this situation to be over.
I don't want to bring him hate. Makes a whole video about him.
I want to respect his mom.
Then never speak her son's name again.
I'm the adult here and I'm trying to navigate this maturely and correctly. I need to think about it. I'm sorry.
Then she uses
Both can't be true. Both can't be true at the same time. She actively tried to ruin me. She actively trying to ruin my life. That's not dramatic to say.
it herself. Like, make it make sense, girl. I'm so sorry to Adam. After this whole situation, I called Adam on the phone and we talked about it in great length. He's trying to ruin your career. I'm being so dramatic. I'm so sorry that I was so manic and wild and was in a parasocial relationship with this woman to the point where I was being mean to a literal kid. And then I was like, my plan is to paint the video show Adam manipulates you into trusting him and had a master plan to take you down when you got mad about the Miranda thing. Like, girl, you don't have that. Be quiet. No, he's a kid.
I just, like, you have no idea how awful that period was. And to literally see messages that Colleen is, like, texting with someone being like, we're gonna frame this as him being manipulative. We're gonna frame this as him being awful. We're gonna frame this doing all this.
So as much as Colleen was trying to be respectful or whatever, that was all a guise. That was all a way to cover her ass so she could do fucked up shit and then not take responsibility. So that kind of plausible deniability thing, she was doing that, which in and of itself says, okay, so you do know you're doing something wrong if you're already really censoring what you say. It's also ironic because in a lot of ways, Miranda Sings / Colleen Ballinger are so uncensored in the sense that they'll say so much shit that is so out of line and so inappropriate, and then they'll see nothing wrong with it. But as soon as it turns into something slightly more personal, like here, then, oh, well, I'm gonna be respectful. I'm not gonna actually do anything against Adam's mom's wishes, but actually, I'm gonna make you understand it without saying it. So there are, like I said, other people involved in all of this. Now, just to name a few, we have Corey, her best friend, we have Trisha Paytas, we have Trent Ballinger, we have, to some extent, Shane Dawson has said some things. So there are a lot of other people involved here. That being said, I did want to focus this video on Colleen Ballinger since she is the center focus of all of this, and I think it's easier to understand everything if we have an idea of what's at the center, and then we can go in all the different directions. Like I said prior, this is not meant to encapsulate everything. If I were you, I would go to watch Adam's videos so you can see everything coming directly from Adam, just so there's no misinterpretation or misunderstandings based on anything I've said. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Frankly, I just find all of this so disheartening, obviously for Adam and anyone else who was a victim of this chilling behavior, to be honest. I'm just disgusted because it always goes back to the same thing, right? Because realistically, it all starts from such a lighthearted point of view. Like, ideally, I think, and I could be projecting here, but the idea was to start a channel and have fun and create this silly character Miranda Sings and just have it not be anything more profound than that, because after all, it's a silly character. It's not like social commentary. We're not talking about culture with Miranda Sings. The fact that it turned into this perverted, contorted version of itself, and that the people that were victims of it couldn't really walk away because they wouldn't know better being children, is really what's disgusting. Because if you really think about it, it's one of those situations where someone barely has a chance to save themselves because they don't know it's wrong until it's too late. And when I say it's wrong, it's that she's wrong. Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.